So, I remain, as I have been for the past 63 episodes, your host. That's it. No appellations, no title, no grand title. Simply your host. I'm Ryan, or Comrade Bubbles, as it says down here and in chat. Behave. I am a moderator. I can see what you're doing, and I will swing the ban hammer as appropriate. But friendly reminder, standard disclaimer as usual. Hey, happy chap. Flattery will get you everywhere. I do not speak for Onyx Path, nor is this project official material. All views and opinions expressed are my own, and this material will be available to buy on the StoryPath Nexus. I am merely a grateful fan with the platform. I am also disabled. I do experience muscle... I say hi to Kiwi back. I do experience muscle spasms. Or tics, whichever way you want. I know they're different things. I've had conflicting diagnoses. But they can affect the muscles of my neck, my jaw, my tongue, my throat. So it can lead to disquieting to watch movements. They're not pleasant for me, I assure you. As well as some worsened stuttering, stammering, and slurred speech. I do also struggle with multiple trains of thought, so I'll try to finish one before going on to the next. If you raise a point in chat that is relevant, I'll acknowledge it, I'll respond to it, and I'll continue. If it is tangentially related or completely different, I will acknowledge it still, but I will return to it after finishing my current train of thought. Now, as it says to the right of my face, my left, please do feel free to ask anything you can think of related to running or playing Onyx Path role-playing games. Technically, it could be any role-playing game, but as this is the Onyx Path channel, we try to keep things on track and related to Onyx Path goodness. This is the season finale. This will wrap up season 7 of Behind the Screen, episode 16 for those of you who are curious and can't see the title on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, don't worry, it's not the end of the show. It's just the end of the season. I'm going to take a short break to just recover, rest. Generally, self-care. I'm taking a self-care break, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. Self-care is important. I'm self-employed. I don't have a proper job. So everything I do is self-directed, and that has a lot of pressure. And if you're in a similar boat, or if you're juggling a job and freelance writing, for example, keeping this topical, self-care is important. Please do look after yourself. Or, even if you just have a normal job and RPGs are a hobby, self-care is still important. Still look after yourself. My point is, it's important for everyone. So my current plan is that the show will return in September. Just give me a couple of weeks off and to recover and recharge, really. But as usual, we're gonna have a breakdown of the Monday meeting notes. Just gonna wait for them to load in the background so I can read them to you. Okay, big thing to note, of course, still going on, hugely successful and important. Trinity Continuum Ether, being Victorian era Trinity Continuum gameplay with advanced technology and Nikola Tesla. It also shows what happened before, a couple of decades before Trinity Continuum Adventure. If there are things in Adventure that you're interested in examining the history of. A note to say, of course, because it's a continuum, not a timeline, it's all stuff that could lead up to the various game lines, not things that have to lead up to the various game lines. So if there's anything you don't like in Ether, you don't have to use it. Rule number 1. I'll get to the blurb for Ether when we get down to the Kickstarter section, but Ether, just wanted to point out, is over 200% funded with 16 days left, so that's pretty cool. To support that also, there's a piece of serial fiction that is being released in segments, as serial fiction tends to be, on the Onyx Path blog, and that is linked through the Monday meeting notes as well. Last week's Onyx Path game night on Start Playing was a success. And last Friday in August will be another game night partner start playing event thing. I am actually running a Scion game for that game night. It should take about 4 sessions to finish, so we should finish by the end of the year. But if you want to play Scion and you're having to start playing account, or you don't mind paying, because I know some people object vehemently to paying for role-playing games, but if you don't mind hiring a GM, I have a game up on Start Playing if you want to play some Scion with me. It's good, I promise. Gen Con Online is this week. Actually, Gen Con itself is this week, but there are online panels as well. Onyx Path are doing 3 panels for Gen Con Online. At one point, I'm sure I will say Gen Con Online, and it'll be embarrassing. Thursday is the What's Up with Onyx Path panel. That's the usual panel about what's happening with the company. And then Friday has the Storypath Q&A about the Storypath system, as well as the Storypath Ultra rule set that was let slip at Onyx Path Con. And then also a panel about 5th edition games, about Onyx Path games that use the 5th edition SRD. Legend of Pugmire, Crossroads Continent, and Scarred Lands. Speaking of Scarred Lands, this month the sale for the anniversary is Scarred Lands, so all of the Scarred Lands 5th edition and Pathfinder PDFs, or most of them, I will say, with the caveat that anything that's super new sometimes isn't, but most of them are 10% of their normal price. That will run through until the 15th of August, and then after that it'll be 3rd edition Scarred Lands PDFs. So if there's any Scarred Lands material that you want to pick up now, this month was definitely the time to do it. And hey, while you're picking up Scarred Lands material from the Onyx Path, why not consider picking up People of the Snow if you're looking for some expanded Fenrilic themed options? You can use People of the Snow with non-Fenrilic games, of course. The subclasses are just themed around Fenrilic, but they're vague enough to fit anywhere else. And also, I had the distinct pleasure of writing material for the patrons. I can't remember the exact title off the top of my head, but Alan Jola put together a patrons of Scarred Lands project on the Sluritian Vault. If you need any Warlock patrons with story seeds and personality hints and stuff, it's a lot of fun. Hope to do more, and you can use that with the Scarred Lands book that you have presumably. I can only conclude that you have literally just bought this very second for 10% of its normal price in PDF. Scarred Lands, if you're curious, is I will just read from the blog. Scarred Lands is a fantasy setting which is set in a world where the mythic war between the gods and titans has already happened and things went pretty badly. Oh, the gods won the war, but the cost was wrecked and poisoned lands, hence the name, Scarred Lands. The guilt of terrible deeds, and kingdoms shattered and new ones scrambling to survive. Against this bleak tableau, heroic and valiant deeds shine forth, and opportunities for quick blades and quicker minds are rich indeed. Scarred Lands is essentially D&D mixed with a heavy metal album in terms of theming and art. Also, you have there are sentient humanoid horse people who form polycules, and what's not to like about that? There's also a brief summary of how why White Wolf created the Scarred Lands setting. The TLDR is that they put out the creature collection before the official 3rd edition monster manual came out, and were like, hey, we've got enough here to make a setting. So they did. Right, so I'm going to hydrate, and then I'm going to introduce Trinity Continuum Ether, because I have reached the Kickstarter portion of the note. Reminder, it's over 200% funded at the over halfway point. Yes, so, the blurb. Call it what it was. Hubris, arrogance, a collective delusion of grandeur. We thought we were the only beings in this universe, and that with our grand intellect and glorious empires, we were the best humanity would ever be. And then came Ether. And along with Ether came mental expansion, form mutation, matter warping, time manipulation, and the discovery of new worlds, new peoples, new and terrifying possibilities. And with Ether came the doom of mankind. Ether brought the Martians to our world, and the unravelling of the reality we knew. Ether is a full rule and setting expansion for the Trinity Continuum line of games. Set in the year 1895, Yes, you heard me. 1895. At a time when humanity has conquered its own world and now seeks to conquer the limitations imposed on us by the laws of all the sciences known to our kind. Inside you will find a complete Victorian-era setting and paths for characters to embark upon within it. Ether powers allowing you to manipulate fate, space-time, and even your own bodies in wondrous and horrifying ways. Societies both lawful and rogue looking to leave their imprint on the world, from those in league with Mina Harker to those affiliated with Dr. Jekyll and Moriarty. Story guide, advice, secrets, hooks, and plots to enable you to start your game of Ether off with a bang. Now, I have to point out something. I'm not working on Ether. Obviously, it's also got some horror theming going on. Ether and this product completely separate. As far as I know, all the mechanics are distinct between them. It's just coincidental. And that's sometimes the way it happens. The media, the Pathcast is deep dive on Scarred Lands and the Dead Man's Rust campaign. What's happening on this channel this week? We've got my show now. Congratulations, you found it, you're watching it, hopefully you're enjoying it. Today, all these times are in Eastern. Today, 7 PM, a rerun of the Trinity Continuum Ether Story Path Showcase with Matthew Dawkins. I believe that ran 2 weeks ago, but I could be wrong. Wednesday at 9 PM, Scarred Lands, Sins of Shelzar, Dead Man's Rust. Again, that's a really cool campaign. I frothed about that during People of the Snow, I believe. Friday 6 PM, you got Twilight Network, Hunt of the Vigil. Friday 8 PM, Mage of the Ascension, Neon Gore, and Zokro. And Sunday at 8 PM, World of Darkness, Sorcerer. The media highlight of the week, Matthew Dawkins is hosting an Ask Me Anything on his channel about Trinity Continuum Ether tomorrow, and there is a link to the channel. Virtual Tabletop, Scion remains the most recent thing on Virtual Tabletop. On sale this week, Sorcerer as a source book for Mage of the Ascension 20th Anniversary Edition. That's Hedge Magic for your Mage 20 games. Here we go. So there has been a new... I obviously don't share this link every time, but there has been a new release roundup because we're in a new month. So everything as it was at the end of July is in that list. And then things that have changed since then. Final Draft Scion, Tasty Pit Scion High for about Teenage Scion Heroes. Exalted Pillars of Creation being the new name for the Exalted Essence Companion. Manuscript Approval, Changeling the Lost to the Hedge. Scion Path to Apotheosis, like adventures and story options for Scion Demigod. They came from Camp Murder Lake, Virtual Tabletop Adventure. Post-approval development, Trinity Continuum Adventure, Danger Skies. Was Thrilling Tales, but that's an adventure. Post-editing development, Trinity Continuum Tasty Bit, the Phoebe Trust, was Scions in the Modern Day. In art direction, we've got Scion God 2nd Edition, so get hyped for that, because they're finding someone to do the remaining 3 halves for the Kickstarter campaign. Ether's in art direction, Kickstarter's ongoing. Trinity, they came from Cyclops Cave and Classified Jumpstarts. In layout, Scion Masks of the Mythos. Mummy the Cursed Book of Lasting Death. Sorry, I was like, MTC, what? In proofing, Spiragos compilation of 5th edition material, Scion Dragon, Mage 20 Victorian Mage, Changing the Lost 2nd edition, Kith and Kin. Nothing is currently in indexing, and then at press, it's largely the same stuff as last time. Scion Demigod and Screen, Squeaks in the Deep Screen, Book and Bookmark. Hunt of the Vigil 2E, Book and Screen. Scarred Lands, Dead Man's Rust is just at the printer. The PDF, the digital version, I believe, is out now. Trinity Continuum Novas Worldwide. Backer PDF is out to Kickstarter backers. Trinity Continuum Assassins is in the XXing stage of development, where they actually put page numbers in. Down in the Hole, Crossroads Continent Adventure, print on demand proofs on the way. Scion Player's Guide, Saints and Monsters. The backers PDF is out to Kickstarter backers. And errata stuff is happening, which means well, heck, I guess that went into my spam folder because I bought that, but I also probably should have received it through the back PDF thing. Anyway, never mind. Unless they mean advanced PDF. I don't know. It's a lot of fun anyway. And then M20 Sorcerer advanced PDF debuts on Wednesday, as I said. And that, I realised I didn't share the link, was the Monday meeting notes. Obviously, I'll recap them at the end of the stream. I need to open the Kickstarter so that this... Where's the link? There it is. And there we go. So that was that. Yep, that was all of that. So, what is this? I've said it's the season finale of the show, but people might be new here. They may not know what the show is. What is the show? Well, thank you for asking me, Ryan. I say that as I go to the Twitch page and see that, according to Twitch, there's only one person watching. It's me. This is a show primarily for the community. I stream of consciousness narrate and commentate my writing process to demonstrate how you too can write how you too can write community content for a number of community content platforms. Hopefully this is a useful advice, or inspiring, or vaguely entertaining advice. I mentioned one at the start of the episode, the StoryPath Nexus. That is a community content platform specifically for games that use the StoryPath system. In this case, Trinity Continuum Core specifically. Trinity Continuum Aberrant is also available to write for on the Nexus. But Silent Second Edition is also available to write for on the Nexus, and there are obviously plans for other StoryPath games coming down the line. The World Below, I believe, is the name of the one they announced at Onyx Path Con. The StoryPath system is a successor to the Storyteller system, spiritual or otherwise, and it is a dice pool skill-based system. So your character sheet has 9 attributes and 16 skills, something like that. And each one is rated 0 through 5, in Trinity Continuum Core at least. Trinity Continuum Core being the core rule set that you need to play any of the other Trinity Continuum games, but it also has its own kind of default modern day action espionage setting. And though that rating 0 through 5 is converted into a dice pool, when you do anything that requires a dice roll, your story guide, your GM if you prefer, will theoretically at least tell you the arena to roll, so either physical, social, or mental, and you pick your attribute from the arena. So physical arena being might, dexterity, and stamina, for example. And then you and the story guide come up with a skill to use together, and you add the dots in the skill and the attribute, and that tells you how many dice to roll. And you roll that number of 10-sided dice, and in core at least. An 8, 9, or a 10 is a success. 10 you can re-roll to get another 8, 9, or 10 as a success. And if you get a 10, you keep re-rolling until you no longer get a 10. It's rare, but it happens that you'll get multiple re-rolls. Your successes are then used to buy off the difficulty of what you are attempting to do. So if you get 3 successes and the action you're attempting is difficulty 2, you buy off the difficulty, you have 1 success left over, and you do the thing. The successes can be spent on stunts to just do other things with the roll. They can also be used to buy off complications. Complications are not penalties as such, but more modifiers to the roll that, if not bought off, will complicate your life down the line. It could be as simple as taking an injury condition. It could be something like you lose a piece of equipment or you're caught. But a complication can never undo your success. Complications, like difficulty, are given a numerical value, and they take that number of successes to buy off. On the flip side of the coin, are enhancement. Enhancement generally come from like equipment bonuses, help from elsewhere, things that your character can just innately do, and enhancement count as automatic successes as long as you get one. I've seen it referred to as a natural success. So as long as you get 1, 8, 9, or 10 on the roll, you get just an automatic number of successes equal to the applicable enhancement that is generated from a variety of sources, as already mentioned. And it just functions as normal successes after that point. So you can use them to bar difficulty, complications, pay for stunts, etc. As mentioned, Trinity Continuum Core is very much an action spy movie feel, like some blockbuster espionage kind of thing. And I like horror games. I'm not ashamed to admit that I like horror as a genre. It's not to everyone's taste, and I fully understand. And I'm not going to tell you that your fun is wrong if you don't like horror, because that would be patently untrue. As long as your fun does not hurt people, your fun is good. But this document specifically is about adding horror to your games of Trinity Continuum. So it does open with a large introduction about safety tools and other ways of maintaining atmosphere and generating atmosphere and things like that. Safety tools, obviously, a useful thing in any game, but very useful in horror games where you want to make the characters uncomfortable, not the players. Or if you're making the players uncomfortable, you want to make them uncomfortable within pre-established limits. And then the genres of horror that I have covered are body horror, standard zombies, extreme blood, gore, that kind of thing. Comic horror, being more about parodies or Scooby-Doo style horror, that kind of thing. Cosmic horror, this is quintessential Lovecraftian. There are things beyond the realms of reality that we are simply not equipped to comprehend. Disaster horror being not only disaster movies, but I also folded in slashers and things like that, because to my mind they are just a micro disaster. Like, it's still an inevitable thing that you will have to work against and quite possibly cannot prevent entirely. And it's more about dealing with the kind of collateral and surrounding threat horror rather than the actual focus itself. Also, disaster horror is really good for telling stories about communities and cooperation and teamwork. Folk horror, the thing in the woods, anything that kind of falls outside of the civilization is often termed as folk horror, like superstition and things like that. And then psychological horror, obviously, where you can't trust your mind and things may not always be quite what they appear to be. And I have, as you can see, I've provided scene-wide optional mechanics for all of these. That just a tool that the story guide can use, as well as skill tricks for players, edges for players, and gifts for players. Obviously, antagonists and story guide characters can have tricks, edges, and gifts too. Nothing saying they can't. But to wrap up the season, I am going through and providing anomaly powers, which are the antagonist exclusive abilities. Antagonists themselves being much simpler, I guess is the right phrase. Being much simpler in terms of character sheet, so to speak, than player characters. Obviously, if you have a major antagonist, feel free to make a character sheet for them and treat them as a player. You might have to find a substitute for momentum. But I was actually going to check that. Did I mention tension? Because tension is not in Trinity Continuum. Tension is in Scion. So I just need to check that I haven't accidentally cross-wired mechanics, because all of these games use the story path system, but they use it in slightly different ways. No, we're good. Okay, I'm okay. I didn't do the thing I thought I had done. Yeah, so let's get started. I'll stop stimming because that helps me focus when I'm doing my recaps and my rundowns. And we shall get started. So last time I did anomaly powers for body horror, cosmic horror, body, comic, and cosmic horror, as well as, if I recall correctly, yes, I did one psychological horror. Oh right, yeah, I was just like painting the momentum pool instead of cause tension. So it follows that we're doing disaster horror today. I'm just going to grab this right here, because then I can just copy it down here. I also realise that, like a fool, I don't have the rulebook open. So please bear with me while I open the rulebook. Because it turns out, when you're writing any kind of community content, or indeed official content for that matter, if you get hired to write official content, the rulebook is kind of useful. I know, who knew? It's crazy, right? In fact, let's use this window. I'm just dropping truth bombs here that perhaps, you know, not everyone is ready to learn. Anyway, I don't know why I pronounced it that way. I do apologize. Right. Disasters movies. Disaster horror. I feel like these are definitely going to be focused more on the slasher side of disasters, because I can't... Wait, actually no, because if you're dealing with natural disasters, then you've got the human fallout of that. So that's actually fine. Don't have to particularly focus on anything. So let's do. Let's have a caveat here. These anomaly powers have been given two names. Oops. To reflect their usage in stories revolving around macro disasters, such as flooding, drought, etc., and micro disasters, such as slashes. So we're going to call this running scared / inevitable. This antagonist. Right, no, I'm doing like a little flavor, right? As is my want. Yes, cool, fantastic. So don't go straight into mechanics. Get a little bit of fiction going. This antagonist, whether through adrenaline or implacable will, cannot be slowed. Right. How would I word this, chat? I guess the easy way would just to be, you know, I'm going to put this here so I don't have to lean forwards. The easy way would to be to handle it as enhancement on movement. I guess it'd be enhancement to athletics challenges. Sorry, I'm just scrolling frantically through the movement section of the rulebook. It's not a terribly important bit of the rules. As a system, StoryPath doesn't really... Trinity Continuum Core doesn't really focus on the nitty-gritty of positioning and things. Right, so let's do this. Cannot be slowed. They automatically succeed at that is terrible wording. I'm sorry. I also feel I should apologize. Like, when I said I'm taking the time off for self-care, I need it. I'm burned out, and I can tell I'm burned out. Like, I'm talking, and I can do the fluff and narrative side of things, but the moment it comes to narrowing down the wording for mechanics, there's a block, and I know that I just need time off. So that's why, because I could I'm buying time, by the way, to think things through. That's my secret. I could extend the season by providing sample antagonists, but I just need time to recover and rest. So yeah, that's what I'm doing here. Because they're not really at scale speed. I don't want to give them a speed scale because they're not moving they're not moving as fast as the car. They're just going to keep moving. Okay. Automatically succeed at any rolls to cross a barrier. What's it called? Difficult terrain? Yes. Difficult terrain or similar that has a difficulty of... So difficulty 1 is your base one. Let's say difficulty of 2 or lower. That's already going to account for quite a wide variety of options. For rolls with a difficulty of 3 or higher, or for opposed rolls such as foot chasers, the antagonist gains 2 enhancement. Again, I really need to figure out the consistent wording. Level 2 enhancement, 2 enhancement, whatever. I'll see if I can find any examples in the official books, because off the top of my head, just can't remember them. But that's it. So just can't be slowed down. It's going to keep going. So oh right, I should probably also have a because the other thing is complicated terrain. For also difficulty 3 or higher, or for rolls with a difficulty of 3 or higher. Do I need to put a caveat in about mixed actions? Yeah, sure, why not? Mixed actions involving movement. Or for opposed rolls such as foot chases, the antagonist gains 2 enhancement. Let's also have... Sorry. Do I give them the ability to stand up from prone as a reflexive action? I think I do. This antagonist, I stand from prone as a reflective action. What else is involved in moving? I guess there's technically also complicated terrain, which is complications. Rolls with a difficulty of 3 or higher. Rolls involving complicated terrain. Mixed actions involving movement, or for opposed rolls such as foot check. There we go. That covers everything. I think that covers all of the movement options that I want it to cover, because again, the movement's not such an important thing in the system as it is in other systems that viewers may be familiar with. Okay, so that's that. Next one. So we've got the like, hey, I'm a survivor, or hey, I'm gonna do what I can to survive, as well as the I'm gonna just murder you side of slashers. What else? I guess like a infectious despair kind of thing. You know, like a mob panic. Actually, just trying to think if there's anything here about atmospheres and attitudes. You know, there might be. Because right, I just need to refresh my brain about atmosphere. Also, my hair is tickling my eye. That's extremely unpleasant. Yes, so atmospheres act as a mass modifier for like everything present that would be affected by the atmosphere, that affects attitude. So attitude being a numerical representation of how your character feels about another character, or how a character feels about another character, let's say. And then attitude can be used as enhancement to play on that relationship. So I guess I should go a bit more granular than that overview. So an attitude can be positive or negative. It's rated 1 through 5. Positive 1, for example, is an acquaintance. Negative 1 is your pest. 2 is a friend. Positive is a friend. Negative is a rival, etc. An atmosphere skews the relationship. So if it's -2 for the atmosphere, and your positive relationship 2 with someone and negative relationship 2 with someone, that positive relationship 2 becomes a 0, and the negative relationship 2 becomes -4, which is hated enemy rather than a mere rival. So what if the antagonist applies the atmosphere just whenever they're near? It doesn't have to be a mass panic when there's that one source of fear present. Insight fear / dread presence. This antagonist, the very presence of this antagonist elicits fear in all who see them. This antagonist casts a let's say -2 atmosphere. And then I will use a range for this. I will use range bands for this, just to provide some kind of balance. I guess medium range. Yeah, let's use medium range. Casts a -2 atmosphere, or I guess emits a negative. You know what? We'll go back to the wording after I finished it. That affects every character within Methium within medium range. Yeah, I guess it emits. It's the source of, let's say. Now, do I want to do? Yeah, let's have a rider as well. All, I guess, rolls. Again, I'm still not 100% sure on the exact wording. I just use rolls because it says dice rolls a lot throughout the game, throughout the rulebook. Sorry, I'm just scanning the rules. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just rolls. All rolls. Let's say all resistance rolls. Rolls that use a resistance. Use the resistance approach. No, use a resistance approach. There we go. I think that's the wording. I think that's the correct wording. I guess we use a resistance attribute. There we go. Even better. All rolls that use a resistance attribute suffer a... I'm just going to put level 2 complication. I guess if we suffer 2 complication. And if not... bought off... prevents character from approaching this antagonist. What kind of... I feel like until the end of the scene, for the rest of the scene, is a bit of a long time scale. Although, actually, it would definitely hammer home how dreadful this antagonist is. So, it's not a bad option. I feel like it's a bit over the top, though. But not everything uses initiative is the issue. Could just spend momentum without doing anything with it. Because I don't want it to just be, hey, you made a you rolled, you couldn't play out the complication, now immediately make another roll. Maybe it is just a momentum thing. The character's player may spend 2 momentum at any point to resolve, to remove this. I don't use condition because that has game word. That has meaning in game. Effect. There we go. And then obviously, I might include something in the intro about tweaking numerical values and stuff at your own table. If you find that the powers need like scaling. So let's call this running scared. It is simply a single word. It is swifter to type. On with the words. And represent a creature so powerful the natural world itself aids in their movement. Ta-da! That's how you reskin it for a different genre. Dang, I'm good. Also, I'm going to remember to save, because I've realised a couple of times I've mentioned the importance of regular saving and then not saved at all throughout the stream. It's a bad habit to get into, chat. Highly recommend you don't do it. By which I mean get into the habit. You should save. Okay, folk horror. Gosh, this is the hardest one to do. I guess yes, technically it's the hardest one to do because folk horror is, I think even more so than psychological horror, kind of ephemeral in a way because it's more about belief. Okay, so and obviously folk and psychological horror do have some overlap, which is what this whole "there's nothing to be afraid of" thing is about. Anyway, getting ahead of myself. Mostly just trying to buy time for myself, but there we go. So I've already covered one with the woods, so I can't do that. As usual, I might have to put my hair up actually. When in doubt, go back to the definition of the genre. Typical elements go to rural setting, themes of isolation, religion, power of nature, potential darkness of rural landscapes. Many derive their horror from the actions and beliefs of people rather than explicitly supernatural elements. The primary focus of the story is often upon knives outsiders come up against these forces. Yeah, so folk horror usually is more about the actions of the believers than any overtly supernatural thing. So what if we have an anomaly power based around belief? The power of belief? I'm just going to get a bit on the nose with this one. Oops. Control B. For the greater good. This antagonist's power of belief is so strong that it... sorry. Yeah, because I'm talking about the power of belief, not the antagonist. It can manifest in a number of ways. Whenever this antagonist loses 1 or more health, they can choose another antagonist present in the scene. You know what? Let's say within medium range. Oh, actually, medium or short range? So medium range, for context, because I'm just talking about ranges. Medium range is 31 to 100 meters. I think short range makes more sense here, actually. So 3 to 30 meters instead. I can choose another antagonist within short range. That antagonist either gains an enhancement. Oh, I missed out the end. My bad. One enhancement on their next roll. Or, I guess it'd be hard armor. Although antagonists don't really have armor per se, they just get more health if they're wearing armor. And yes, some people obviously differentiate and they split, but I guess could just be regains health. Oh no, the defense. There we go. So it'd be that antagonist needs one enhancement on the next roll. Gains one defense against the next attack, or regains one health, let's say. And if you have a group of antagonists with for the greater good, I'm desperately trying not to do the Heart Fuzz thing right now. Desperately resisting the Urge chat. You don't understand. It's Pavlovian. I'm classically conditioned. Yeah, if you have a hypothetically rural village of people with for the greater good, that's kind of a big threat actually. So hopefully story guys don't abuse it, because that is definitely there ripe for abuse. But there we go. So that's the power of belief anyway. What else? Themes about getting lost. Rural areas. I feel like nature's I've kind of already covered through a variety of things. Kind of feeling like I could just do another person-focused one, if I'm being honest. But what would that be? Because I've covered belief and sacrifice in for the greater good. I just didn't want to use the word sacrifice, if I'm being honest. It has connotations. What else? What else? What else? Getting lost. Deliberately leading others astray. Ooh. I feel like, of all the genres, maybe psychological can play with this as well a little bit, but folk horror would certainly lend itself to manipulating the field. Complicated terrain. Do something with that, yes. What would that look like? What would the complication be? I don't think an injury makes sense. It's not. One, it's too obvious, and two, it's not. It's not playing into the mystique of folk horror, right? It's not. Folk horror thrives on the unknown to some extent, and an injury condition is just, it's known. Could be all range bands are increased by 1. To the next roll. Summon the mists. This antagonist. Nope. Nope. Antagonist is capable of summoning a mist that disorients their enemies. Now, should this be... I feel like this shouldn't be a constant thing, because it'll just be annoying and slow the game down, but it should be a thing that lasts long enough to be worth doing. Sorry, I know there's a lot of dead air in this episode. I can't, ordinarily I just talk through while I'm thinking in the background, but I can't do that right now. So I apologize. I guess as an action, and then the effect happens like start of the next turn. As an action, this antagonist may create a condition for the field they are in. May create the, let's say, mist-shrouded condition for the field they are in. They may choose any number of characters to be unaffected by this condition. As an action, then this antagonist may create the mist-shrouded condition for the field they are in. They may choose any number of characters to be unaffected by this condition, and the condition is applied at the start of this antagonist's next turn. So, like, increasing range bands by 1, I'd have to put a caveat in about close range. But, you know, that's fine. But then, does that work? I'm just trying to think the consequences of this through my head the way I've done. Because I could do a couple of things. I could just flat out increase difficulty for movement and ranged attacks. Could be just like you get a defense of 2, and defense increase of 2 against ranged attacks, whatever. Because if I increase... Also, increasing range bands doesn't do anything about inhibiting movement. So it would have to be moving a single range band counts as an action, and then I guess it's just no. Actually, if movement counts as an action, and then just a blanket 1 difficulty to all rolls, I think that works out. I put a rider in that it would apply to. The Mist-Shrouded condition increases all difficulties by 1, and moving a single range band in the let's say affected characters must use an action or a mixed action to move a single range band. I think that's the wording in the book, right? Yes, yes it is. Okay. Oh, no, that's the wrong document. I think that's good. Because I guess I should clarify here about defense. Increases all difficulties. I need to figure out the exact wording. Please do bear with me while I click frantically through this rulebook. It's here. Yes, okay. I think I need to reword this sentence so I can clarify it. Mist-Shrouded condition increases all... And now we're back to, hey, Ryan thinks obsessively about the wording of sentences. But honestly, sometimes that's all you've got. Sometimes that's... I guess... the hard part about writing anything with mechanics is knowing and I'm not like perfect at this, but knowing when something needs changing. I mean, sometimes you'll get the exact right wording down the first time, and if you do, congratulations, you've saved a lot of time. But sometimes you'll get, as in this case, you'll get like a note form down that sort of works, but isn't perhaps as clear or specific as you'd like, and then you have to step back from that and reword things entirely to actually, you know, get the effect that you want mechanically. So I think because right now this first sentence applies to everything. It doesn't just apply to the affected characters. So the Mist-Shrouded condition increases the difficulty of all actions attempted by affected characters by 1. This includes, I guess, defense values. Also, I have to. This is an S because it's an S in the game. This includes. Yeah, I guess defense values works for now. So antagonist unaffected defense values of unaffected characters. So someone affected by the condition, it's just going to find it that bit harder to hit someone not affected by the condition, because they can see through the mist, or the mist parts at an opportune moment. Sorry, I've got to hang now. I've only just noticed it, so now I'm going to be worrying at that for the rest of it. Anyway, the reskinning. Let's go with the reskinning. Let's keep this one in genre, shall we? For the greater good, for example, could be called blood magic. And represent the casting of folks, I guess hedge magic, to I guess buff is kind of formal enough. Say aid allies. Antagonist power of belief, let's say in the natural world. Then we already have one here. I need to copy to paste that, get rid of that, there we go. So we already have imaginary form. The outward appearance of this antagonist is matched in the truth. Anytime the story guide can add one or more momentum, up to 3 to the momentum pools, change one aspect of the antagonist. When numerical values are involved, the change is equal to the momentum added. Such changes could include increasing the primary pool, changing or gaining an anomaly power, or regaining 1 health. Should this antagonist be taken out of the story, I can add 3 momentum to the pool and have the antagonist return no sooner than the next scene. Let's say then the end of the next scene. Each function of this anomaly power can only be used a single time. I feel like I need to reword the each function bit. I guess a character may only be altered. Character may only be altered. You know what? No, I'm good with the story guide adding momentum to change the character on the fly, because that is just, you know, you can't trust what's happening. A character may only be brought back this way once per act. So once per session. You can't just keep bringing them back. There we go, that works. Right, final psychological horror thing. So we've already got the you can't trust what's happening. Oh, hey. Grim Mirror. I don't know what that name means. It sounds cool, so that's what I'm going with. This antagonist reflects something of the viewer. Hello, how are you doing, Odd Rogers? Welcome to the channel. This antagonist I guess what do I want this to do? Mechanically, I guess it could be an edge, a gift. Not doing too bad. This is the season finale. I'm having a month off, and you know I've reached the point in the writing process where I'm like, I need time. I'm burned out. So the show, this is perhaps not going to be the best introduction to the show for you, but hopefully it's still useful. Spacing out while I'm trying to think. Yeah, so what would it, how would it be a distorted reflection of an edge or a gift? No, that doesn't work. Especially antagonists, purposefully simple by design. So the only thing I can really reflect are dice pools. Oh. Thought. Custom stunt that the antagonist can spend dice on to shift an attitude, maybe? Does that work? Yes. So, warped reflection. This antagonist can manifest a distorted representation of a character their target cares about. They gain access to the following stunt that may be purchased after attacking or making a, I guess, social-based roll. You know what? Let's reword that. Or after rolling a... Oh no, because antagonists don't have approaches. Egypt. Don't have arenas, sorry. They just have pools. So, starting against tabletop RPGs, already feeling overwhelmed. Oh, that's all good. Do you have any questions, particularly? I can explain this if you want. So, the rundown of the show. Onyx Path have a lot of community content programs that allow you to write your own material that uses published like rules, and then sell it for 50% of the proceeds. So this show is about like different ways of writing material, different approaches you can take, how mechanics can be tweaked to get the effects that you want, and that kind of thing. So it also just functions as a general GM tips show, whilst also obviously a deep dive into a specific system. In this case, the story path system as implemented in Trinity Continuum core. I'm looking at how to do horror games using that rule set. And it's been mostly going okay. It's just, as I was saying, right at the end of the season, 16 episodes in, and I can just feel the burnout and the creative block. And it's just getting over that to finish the season in a state that I'm happy with. But I will answer any questions you may have if you have questions. I'm happy to talk about anything, really. As you can see, related to playing and running Onyx Path role-playing games. Or role-playing games in general. It's just this is the Onyx Path channel, so I figured probably should keep it somewhat focused on their games. Okay, so... You know what? Let's not have it. do I do something with momentum again? No, there's no other custom stunts here apart from one, if I'm recalling correctly. Creative block, my old friend. Yep. You know what's worse for what's the worst thing you can possibly do when blocked creatively? Stream that creative thing. Gosh. No, I want to keep it as a stunt. I definitely want to keep it as a stunt. Because there's not many stunts in this 26-page document so far. But I don't want it to just be after attacking. You know, let's just have any successful roll. Successful. Okay, so the stunt that can be purchased after any successful roll. We shall call this Undermine. Variable. Hello, Alan. How are you doing? Bonjour, bonjour, ça va? There we go. I can remember my French. I'm just so distracted. Yes, undermine variable. Colon, this technically should be italicized, but for accessibility, you know. You know what? No, I'm going to keep it as is for accessibility purposes. But I will insert the bullet point in the space. This antagonist chooses a character they can see in the scene. The target of this stunt loses 1 attitude towards that character for every 2 successes spent. Their attitude returns to its original value at the end of the next scene or after an appropriate amount of time has passed. After an appropriate amount of time makes sense, I think. So I'm done. Finally done. Whew. Half an hour left in the show. Let's do a recap, because I'll recap all of the anomaly powers. Oh, I need to do this. Whoops. Represent a feeling of dread and uncertainty surrounding a personal relationship. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to recap the anomaly powers because that's been the subject of those were the subject of last episode and this episode. But I guess also a recap of the document in full. Why not? So, horrors of remember to save. I'm going to hydrate before I do this. So this being a supplement focused on adding horror to Trinity Continuum core games. We open with a big discussion about safety tools and how you can build atmosphere. And then each of the genres, we've got body horror, comic horror, cosmic horror, disaster horror, folk horror, and psychological horror. Each of those genres provides a working definition as well as advice on tropes to avoid and how to kind of recognize how to deal with them if they come up. At least I hope that's what the guidance does. I'll obviously reword things when I edit this. So this is very much first draft material. But and then obviously advice about what to include in adventures, in scenarios featuring those genres. Body horror has a really short thing because it's less tropey, apart from just the disabled thing. Yeah. Anyway, so each genre has 2 scene-wide mechanics, has 2 tricks, 2 edges, and 2 gifts. All of those, one of which is more of an active engagement with the genre, and one of which is more of a passive engagement with the genre. And that was one, just to show how smart I am, clearly. But mostly it was to demonstrate how you can passively engage with... how you can use mechanics which, by their definition, are more of an active thing, because they... I very much think about tabletop role-playing like the rules are active, the narrative is passive, right? Because the narrative is what's happening, is what's going. It doesn't need anything to happen. Whereas the rules are you're engaging with a framework. You have to do things in a certain way to do other things, right? So, the most passive rules can usually get is like, hey, when you attempt to do this thing, you get this bonus. Which is why I tried to stay away from just giving out enhancement and stuff. I wanted to be like, hey, this is how you can use an active engagement with the rules to produce a passive effect in the game. Or a passive engagement with the story, in a way. I feel like I'm overcomplicating what I did. So I'm going to move on. But skill tricks, I guess, breakdown for people who are unaware. Skill tricks are ways in which your character can use any of the skills that they know in like a slightly different way to most people. They're usually a reflection of training or like raw aptitude. Edges are a representation of resources or training or natural talent. And then gifts are more of a supernatural thing that a specific type of character called a talent has access to. And they're more kind of like extremely lucky or competent characters. And all of those, as I say, are one sort of active and one sort of passive option for players to use. And then, as I said, because I thought it was not perhaps fair that players got all the love, some anomaly powers for the story guide to use. So the ignore all of like these boxed sections, they'll look different in the final product. But so the anomaly powers that I included for body horror, we've got animated corpse, which just damage, harming this antagonist just takes more effort because they don't need most of their body because they're a corpse. And then infectious attack is the standard infectious zombie bite thing, as well as a sample disease to get story guides' brains going with ideas for the infection. Comic horror, we've got false faced, so they're just, you know, the antagonist is pretending to be something else. And the secret door is just a trope. Let's face it, it's a trope. They can always appear wherever they want to appear, at the like worst possible or best possible moment. Cosmic horror, unobservable monstrosity. Your brain blanks it out to preserve itself. And transdimensional sensors, it straight up is because it's used to living in a space that is not of this reality. It just uses different sensors to perceive and observe the world around it. Disaster horror, running scared / inevitable, is you just can't slow the antagonist down, because they're either just running from whatever's happening, or they're chasing you and they're a slasher and they're going to get there eventually. And then Insight Fear / Dread Presence is more about the mob mass panic, or the just an aura of threat that. Oh hey, I've got a blank page. An aura of threat that some antagonists can convey. Folk horror, we've got For the Greater Good, Power of Belief and Sacrifice, to affect the world around them. And some of the mists is control over the world, and to some extent isolating characters, making things spookier by having a shrouding mist everywhere. Again, all of this is very much first draft. I might double down on theme with mechanical tweaks later on down the line. And then psychological horror, the final genre of horror that this supplement is dealing with. Imaginary form, the antagonist simply isn't what it appears to be, and the story guide can alter it should they wish to reflect other things. And then warped reflection is more the emotional uncertainty and social uncertainty side of psychological horror, where perhaps not everyone is as they seem, and it's just that kind of slight sliver of doubt that your friend is not actually your friend. And there we go. I guess the save. Please do stick around. I've got outro stuff to do, but if you have come in towards the end of the season, or indeed this episode, and you would like to hear my thoughts and my discussion, my commentary, whatever you want to call it, that has led to this point, writing all of this material, all of the previous episodes are available on YouTube. You will have to manually search for Comrade Bubbles. The spelling is here. Just ignore the at. They're all a playlist behind the screen S7 bracket Trinity Continuum core bracket. And as all 15 previous episodes should be in that playlist. They are all up on my channel. If I've forgotten to add one to the playlist, I apologize. If you want to see the beginning of this episode, when I did the recap and discussed disaster horror and stuff, if you are not a subscriber to, well, you've got two things you can do. One, you can subscribe to the twitch.tv/the Onyx Path, which is the channel this show is airing on right now. And you can watch the video as soon as I'm done streaming. Related to that, if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can link it to your Twitch account to get a Prime gaming account. And one of the benefits of that is one free subscription a month to any channel of your choice. It functions exactly the same as a Tier 1 subscription to the channel. You get all the benefits, the channel gets all the benefits, and you can, as I say, you can watch this video as soon as I'm done. If you don't want to or are unable to subscribe, if you wait 1 week, you can then watch this video on Twitch. Same place, it's the videos tab of the channel. Or if you wait about a week, it's sometimes a bit longer because I forget, but this will go up on my channel, again, my YouTube channel, and it'll be in the playlist with all of the other previous episodes. I do want to say, if on the off chance that anyone from Onyx Path is watching, thank you again for allowing me to upload this stuff to my YouTube channel. I realise that it's not great for my promotion because I have very small viewer numbers, but it's a control thing. I'll be completely honest, it's a control thing, and I like having control over my content. Not that I don't trust Onyx Path, obviously. Y'all are great. But one day I'll get big, and then I'll be able to point people towards my content and be like, hey, look at this content. Now go and follow the Onyx Path, which all this writing is for. Or who all this writing is not for, because it's community content, but inspired by, I guess. I'm rambling at this point. Good grief. Obviously, while I'm on the subject of YouTube and channels, please do follow the Onyx Path on YouTube. Most of their content, most of the streams on this channel go up on YouTube in some form, if it's an Onyx Path run stream. I think like the story path showcases, and I think most of the Kickstarter promotional stuff goes up on YouTube eventually. So please do consider following them. There's some great material on the Onyx Path YouTube channel. But if you were not here, actually, while I'm thinking about it, please do consider following me on Twitch. I do stream on Twitch. I don't stream tabletop role-playing stuff that often. I lack players and time, but I do stream 3 days a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. When I'm streaming for the Onyx Path, I do a shorter stream, but this is this is a fortnightly thing, so every 2 weeks there's an hour and a half stream rather than a 4 hour stream, sorry. But if you missed the start of the episode, the Monday meeting notes are the best place to go for project updates and where the Onyx Path is in terms of a lot of things. Nope, that's the wrong window. So my swift recap of the Monday meeting notes is as follows. So it was a weird noise, and I thought it was in my headset, but I think it's Power Tool outside. It's Power Tool outside. Important, like the most important thing, I guess, right now, it's right at the top of the Monday meeting notes, is Trinity Continuum Ether is currently being funded on Kickstarter. It's over 200% funded, so if you back it, you'll get access to the backer preview text, which is about 95% complete in terms of like the raw rules, as well as a book at the end of it. If you have liked the discussion of horror here and the implementation of it, again, as I said at the start, I'm not involved in Ether in any way. I wasn't aware it was happening, and I wasn't aware it would have horror themes, but it's going to have horror themes, apparently, so definitely check that out if you are interested in Story Path, Trinity Continuum, and or horror. But the blurb for that comes later. Onyx Path Game Night was a success last week. Next month, the last Friday of August, is another game night. I myself am running a Scion 2nd Edition adventure. Theoretically Origin level, but a conversation will be had by players about Origin or Hero. So please do sign up for that if you're interested. Onyx Path have 3 panels at Gen Con. This week, one on Thursday, which is the What's Up with Onyx Path panel. 2 on Friday, the Story Path Q&A, and a panel about the Onyx Path games that use the 5th edition rules. One of those, Scarred Lands, is in fact the game line that's on sale this month. Up until the 15th of August, the 5th edition and Pathfinder rule set compatible Scarred Lands PDFs will be 10% off, and then from the 15th to the end of the month, the 3rd edition D&D SRD Scarred Lands PDFs will be on sale. So if you don't have all of those, if you want to pick up the core player's guide, now would be the time to do so. Scarred Lands is a heavy metal D&D setting. I'm going to put it like that. If you want more information on all this, of course, this is a very rushed recap of the Monday meeting notes. Please do follow the link I posted in chat and read them for yourself. I will read the full Kickstarter blurb for Ether again. Call it what it was: hubris, arrogance, a collective delusion of grandeur. We thought we were the only beings in this universe, and that with our grand intellect and glorious empires, we were the best humanity would ever be. And then came Ether. And along with Ether came mental expansion, form mutation, matter warping, time manipulation, and the discovery of new worlds, new peoples, new and terrifying possibilities. And with Ether came the doom of humankind. Ether brought the Martians to our world and the unraveling of the reality we knew. Ether is a full rule and setting expansion for the Trinity Continuum line of games set in the year 1895, at a time when humanity has conquered its own world and now seeks to conquer the limitations imposed on us by the laws of all the sciences known to our kind. And it's a full rule set. The settings in the book, everything you need to know. You will need the Trinity Continuum core rulebook, but then all of the additional rules and setting are in Ether. Stuff on this channel. This show is ending shortly. All these times are in Eastern. 7 p.m. today, rerun of the Trinity Continuum Ether Story Path Showcase with Matthew Dawkins. Wednesday at 9 p.m, Scarred Lands, Sins of Shelzar, Dead Man's Rust. Friday at 6 p.m, Twilight Network, Hunter the Vigil. Friday at 8 p.m, Mage of the Ascension, Neon Gore, Zokro. Sunday, 8 p.m, World of Darkness Sorcerer. Lodi. Media highlight of the week being an AMA. Matthew Dawkins is hosting on his channel about Trinity Continuum Ether on Wednesday. There is a link to it in the Monday meeting notes. On sale this Wednesday is the Sorcerer Sourcebook for Mage 20th Anniversary edition. That's Ascension. And again, so it's like Space 1889 setting. I assume so. I don't know really. I can't afford to back it, unfortunately. But I know it's drawing. Well, the Martians are involved, so the War of the Worlds. Mina Harker and Jacqueline Hyde are involved. So like all the Penny Dreadful themed. It's like Penny Dreadful sci-fi, I guess. For Ether. So all of the. I won't share the link again because it's in the Monday meeting notes. But things that have had a development status update this week from the last development status update. Scion Taste a Bit, Scion High, Exalted Pillars of Creation are in the final draft stage. Changeling the Lost the Hedge, Scion Path to Apotheosis. They came from Camp Murder Lake VTT Adventure or manuscript approval. Post-approval development, Trinity Continuum Adventure, Danger Skies. Honestly, both of those have an exclamation mark, and it's very difficult to get the emphasis that an exclamation mark denotes in a different tone of voice. That's in post-approval development. Trinity Continuum Tasty Bit Phoebe Trust is in post-editing development. In art direction, we've got Scion God 2E, Trinity Continuum Ether, and they came from the Cyclops Cave and Classified Jumpstarts. In layout, we've got Scion Masks of the Mythos and MTC Book of Lasting Death. Sorry. In proofing, the Spiroghost 5e compilation, Scion Dragon, Mage 20th, Victorian Mage, Changeling the Lost 2nd edition, Kith and Kin. And at press, Scion Demigod Book and Screen, Squeaks in the Deep, Book, Screen and Bookmarks, Hunter the Vigil, 2e, Book and Screen, Scarred Lands, Dead Man's Rust, Trinity Continuum Novus Worldwide, Trinity Continuum Assassins, Down the Hole Crossroad Continent Adventure, Scion Player's Guide, Saints and Monsters, and the advanced PDF of Mage 20 Sorcerer. I think that's it. If you have enjoyed the content, as I say, please do follow me on Twitter and on Twitch, and you subscribe to me on YouTube if you wouldn't mind. If you have any questions about any of the game lines, please don't wait for this show. It is every 2 weeks. It is only for 2 hours on a Tuesday morning if you're in America. Please do join the Onyx Path Discord server. Nightbot has dropped the link. It's above the last comment. It is the discord.gg link. And that is a really welcoming community that will generally be able to answer any question you may have. And a lot of the freelance writers are, active on the server and do read the relevant channels. So I mentioned this is the season finale. It has been 16 episodes, 63 since I started this show. 16 episodes in season 7. I'm going to take a little break. I anticipate, now this isn't written in stone because it's obviously dependent on self-care, but I anticipate being back on the 13th of September. I may be on holiday that week. I'm not entirely sure. Thank you, Alan. It's a run. Almost certainly by the 27th of September I'll be back. But the next season of the show will cover the 4th of the Onyx Path community content platforms. I've written for the Storypath Nexus. Sorry, specifically, I've got solo projects on the Storypath Nexus, on the Storyteller's Vault, and in the Sloretian Vault. So the last one to get a solo project up on is Canis Minor, which is for the Realms of Pugmire game lines. Specifically at this point, Pugmire and Monarchies of Mao. I think I mentioned it last time, but I'm going to be dealing with Road Wardens and Bandits. I've already had ideas for chase rules and for races, as well as new callings and tricks. So if you are interested in that kind of thing, please do consider tuning in for that in hopefully not too long, but as I say, almost definitely by the 27th of September the show will have restarted. Pugmire is a fun game. But I guess before I do wrap up the season, I mentioned I put emphasis on the solo projects and things because, of course, like, I don't know what I said, like, because of course, homebrew content is obviously written to fulfill a function. Either there's something not in a game that you want to see in a game, something in a game that isn't handled the way you think it should be handled, or you just want to provide resources for other people. A lot of my work is player options, and because that's what I like to do. I like to think that I've contributed something to the game that someone might use and will spark joy. That's why I also write introductory adventures for the games. Although I am writing a Trinity Continuum core adventure, not on stream. How extensible will the content be into the Pirates of Pugmire and Sabretooth's domains? That's what I'm going to ask what those are. Pretty. They'll fit into all of the Pugmire books on Sabretooth. I mean, I've written content for I've written community content for Pirates of Pugmire. By the way, if you haven't bought it yet and you are interested in extra piratical content, please do consider purchasing Monty Corgi's Acid Shanties. It was a blast to work on, and I'm proud of what we all did on that. I was only a contributor, like I didn't organise it, but it was such fun to work on. Pugmire is just a fun game line. Realms of Pugmire is a fun game line to write for. And obviously, like I like lowering the barrier to entry for people, or to providing extra player options for experiences that aren't necessarily catered, like horror in this instance. But there's also there's the selfish side of community content. One, you can charge for it, and it's not much, but the more you get up, the more money you stand to make. Just logically follows. But also, if, like me, and you do want to make a career out of this, the Toad Man come to bring us acid and tea and rum. Alan, I love that. That was amazing. Thank you so much for that. If you're like me and you do want to make a career out of it, it also works as a portfolio. And solo projects prove that you can, you have the focus and the understanding of the game system, or they can anyway. I'm not guaranteeing that everyone who writes material for the community content platforms will be hired, but they serve as evidence of your ability, let's say. And also, working on group projects proves that you can work as part of a team, proves that you can take the criticism of your editor or and work to deadlines and things like that. I mean, this show, I've mentioned it a couple of times, is not the typical experience because I only write for an hour and a half every 2 weeks, accounting for intro and outro. And because I do narrate my thought processes, it artificially extends it. I wrote 500 words today, I think it was, when off stream I can write 2,500 in an afternoon. And a good thing about writing community content actually as well is it teaches you your limits, and it gives you something you can measure yourself by. I know that I can write 2,500 words a day. I know that I can do that at maximum about 3 days a week before I start to feel it. So I know that sweet spot for me in terms of writing is about 7,500 words a week, and then that helps with the resource allocation of my own mental energy. And it's all stuff that's useful to know if you do want to get into writing, freelance, professionally, what have you. Which I'll have that purple name soon. I'm just waiting for the book to come out, and I'm going to pester people for the purple name on the Onyx Path Discord server. But that's it. Please do, as I've said a couple of times, please do follow me on Twitter. I'm at Comrade Bubbles. Please do follow me on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Comrade Bubbles. Please do follow the Onyx Path everywhere you possibly can. Nightbot has dropped those links in the chat a couple of times, so you just have to scroll up to find them. Thank you all, as ever, for the support. Thank you to Onyx Path again for letting me do this. If there's anyone from Onyx Path watching this, thank you so much. It means a lot. You are all great people, and certainly everyone I've interacted with behind the scenes has been just a joy to interact with as a Twitch contributor. I'd like to say see you all in a month, but I have a sneaking suspicion I'll be on holiday in a month's time. I don't know exactly when the date is. I could check, but I'm not going to. I'm lazy. I'm tired, is more to the point. So thank you all for the support. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully it has been entertaining and helpful. I like one of the things I always worry about when I do this show is that because this stuff is what works for me, don't assume it'll work for you. And also, I'm only human. I make mistakes. We all do. So hopefully I'm not saying the wrong thing or causing people to look at tabletop role-playing and go, there's too much, I'm not doing it, it's not for me. When there's a wide variety, even within Onyx Path as a company, there's a wide variety of games out there, and I firmly believe there is a game for everyone. But I'm getting sentimental now. Please do have a great August and September until I see you again. Please do stay safe, healthy, and wholesome. Please look after yourselves. Please look after everyone you care about. Please look after everyone, just period. And I'll see you around. Much love and goodbye.